Good day, everyone. My name is Jarmark C. Barden. I'm going to report about the contemporary art. Contemporary art is the art of the present which is continually in the process and in flux. The distinction of modern art, contemporary art could be also be a matter of perception and reception, depending on the context. Art is the expression of one's feeling through creating something out of their imagination. Art is both a product and process of a creative decision of an artist in his or her attempt to be involved in a dialogue and to articulate his or her motivations for creation, be it the medium, style, subject form, or etc. Contemporary art is art produced at the present period in time. Contemporary art includes and develops form postmodern art, which itself a successor to modern art. Contemporary art is a term used for art of the present day. Usually, the artists are alive and still making work. Contemporary art is often about ideas and concerns, rather than solely the aesthetic, the look of the work. Artists try different ways of experimenting with ideas and materials. There are the known Filipino contemporary art and works. First, Maningning Miklat. She was known for her Chinese bamboo, Zen paintings, and the poetry in three language Filipinos, Mandarin and English. Second, Benedicto Reyes Cabrera, better known as Bencab, is a Filipino painter and was awarded National Artist of the Philippines for Visual Arts, the painting in 2006. And this is the artwork of Benedicto Reyes Cabreras. Third, Jose Joya was a printmaker, mixed media artist, and a former dean of the University of the Philippines College of Fine Arts. He pioneered abstract expressionism in the Philippines. His canvases were characterized by dynamic spontaneity and quick gestures of action painting. And this is the artwork of Jose Joyas. Fourth, Oneb Olmedo was an award-winning expressionist Filipino painter. He created populist art and depicted the marginalized part of the society. And this is the artwork of Oneb Olmedo, The People, Power, It's a Revolution. Fifth, Napoleon Isabelo Veloso Abuera, more popular known as Napoleon Abuera, is a Filipino artist. He is a sculptor given the distinction as the Philippine National Artist for sculpture. He is also entitled as the father of modern Filipino sculpture. He is the only Boholano given the distinction as the National Artist of the Philippines in the field of visual arts. Siyam na diwata ng sining. 6. Jo Lopez Cabayao, a Gawad CCP awardee for music in 2008, has been playing the violin for Filipinos for decades now. His passion allowed him to visit various concerts, venues in the country and share his love for classical music to several generations, the Filipino musicians and singers. First, Vicotorio C. Edades is a singer Filipino painter who was the leader of the revolutionary 13 moderns who engaged their classical compatriots in heated debate over the nature and function of art. He was awarded as National Artist in 1976, one of the Builders in 1928. Second, Arturo Rogerio Los is a Philippine National Artist awardee in visual arts. He is also known as printmaker, sculptor, designer, and art administrator, a founding member of the Modern Realist School in Philippine art. He received the National Artist Award, the country's highest accolade in the arts of 1997. 3. Abdulmari Aisha Imawu, a native of Solo, is a sculptor painter, photographer, ceramist, documentary filmmaker, cultural researcher, writer, and articulator of Philippine Muslim art and culture. Sarimanok series. Fourth, Eduardo Castrello is an awarding Filipino sculptor. He was born in Santa Ana, Manila, the youngest of 5 children of Santiago Selva, Castrello, a jeweler, and Magdalena de los Santos, a leading actress in Zarzuelas and a Holy Week pageants in Makati, Philippines. Castrello was a Republic Cultural Heritage awardee. He is also a jewelry artist and designer. Fifth, Solomon Sapred was a modern Filipino sculptor who became known for his works in bronze which he created by welding scraps of metal, producing a characteristic jug effect. 6. Laya Salonga. She known professionally as Laya Salonga, a Filipino lyric mezzo-soprano, singer and actress who started in the lead role of Kim in the musical Miss Salonga, for which she was won the Olivier Tony Drama Disc Outer Critics and Theatre World Awards. She was the first Asian to play the roles of Eponine and Fantine in the musical Les Miserables and Broadway. She also provided the singing voice of two official Disney princesses, Jasmine in Aladdin in 1992, and Famulan in Mulan in 1998, and Mulan 2 in 2004. Salonga was named a Disney Legend in 2011 for her work with the company. 7. Sisilicad. May 11 in 1961 is a renowned Filipino virtuoso classical pianist, dubbed as a pianist by the New Yorker. Her artistry rather, a blend of darling musical instinct and superb training. Contemporary music in the Philippines usually refers to composition that have adopted ideas and elements from 20th century art music in the West, as well as the latest trends and musical styles in the entertainment industries. Practices and movements in the Philippine contemporary art. Most contemporary Filipino artists does not want to be identified with any single art movement in the manner of Impressionists in 19th century France or the early Modernists 1930 Philippines, where the members continuously created works representative of that movement. Today, a lot of the artists would do works that unconsciously or consciously shifts styles with each new exhibit. However, for categorizing art style purposes, here are some of the styles currently found in a lot of contemporary Filipino art. Social realism and Philippine perspective, a broad description of different artworks whose themes spew biting commentaries on social political issues of the country. According to art critic and writer Alice Guillermo, social realism reared its head during the awakening of the politicized Filipino consciousness during the 1800s revolutionary period, and then again in the first country storm in the 1970s. Some of the artists are Pablo Ben Santos, Papo de Aces, Antepas de Tavo, Edgar Talusan Fernandez. Social realism, the artists Sim Tolentino, Brian Barrios, and Mox, also known as Sim BBMOKS, render a mural at the wall of the Columban Mission in the Philippines, along the Singalong Street in Manila on Sunday. The mural depicts the struggle of Filipino health workers during the pandemic. Figurative art. This is one of the popular art movements, as figurative art is representational, meaning it is derived from real object sources. Early figurative art in the Philippines is mostly realistic and classical, but in modern times, surreal depictions of human figures and conditions entered a figurative art, a visual mix of host and in some cases irony are brought into a drama to an otherwise commonplace or situation. Also, figures and anatomy are distorted or altered. Some of the artists are the old masters Juan Lona, Felix Resurrection, Hidalgo. Artists during the war years and beyond included Vicente Manansala, Spanish occupation, and oppression of the Filipino people, abstract art, or non-representational art. Objects from the natural world and also ideas are portrayed using color and form. Abstract art in the Philippines emerged after World War II. During this time, modernists were steering away from the more conservative style of Omersolo and finding new ways and expressing themselves. Modernists received plenty of support from two institutions, Art Association of the Philippines and the Philippine Art Gallery. Some of the artists are the national artist H.R. Ocampos, where works play on the Philippine flora and fauna. Fernando Zobel went through a painting of period black and white before returning to color. Conceptual art, in this movement, the idea is more important than the object, and it encompasses site-specific installations, three-dimensional obliges of discards, and non-art experiments, performance, and video art. It gives emphasis on the artist's thinking while the artwork are merely documents of the artist's thoughts. Some of the works are ephemeral or temporary and therefore requires documentations. Some of the artists Medio Cruz, Gabi Barredo, Lerio Salvador, and Mark Salvatos, Pop Sorel, and Laubro Art, an underground visual art movement that is based on comic books, tattoos, punk music, and other alternative pop culture themes. American illustrator Dave McCain, though more surrealist than pop surrealist, influenced a lot of young Filipino artists who created informal movements within the university. On the other hand, graffiti art, which utilizes spray paint, and even stickers, which was influenced by the late Jean Michael Basquiat and Kate Haring on the late 70s to 80s, has recently caught on with a lot of young Filipino artists. Some of these artists, including Paulding Sena, Darrell Ballesteros, Manuel Ocampo, the practices. Filipino art in the modern art in the Philippines has evolved into a wide variety of expressions and medium, turning the country into a situation of creative upheavals. Modern Filipino artists have more freedom to explore on its own. They show their love for country and evolving culture. Their style is from cross-cultural exposures in Eastern and Western world, yet they have not forgotten their Filipino roots. Many of them use color for their emotional rather than intellectual values. Jose Tejuya, national artist, visual arts, in 2003, his foremost Filipino abstract painter. Hills of Naked, Vicente Manansala, national artist, visual artist, in 1981. He invested each human figure with inner fortitude, making each one a stoic figure of human dignity. His best abstract sculpture is the allegorical harpon Napoleon Abueva, the national artist in sculpture in 1976, Carlo Botong Francisco, national artist in 1973. He contributed towards developing a Filipino imagery, drawing inspirations from the customs and traditions of the people. Bayanihan shows his highly original approach to figurative painting. Mauro Malang Santos Hernando R. Acompo, national artist, visual art in 1991. He aimed to de-emphasize a lifelike representation with the natural world. Pentecostal Series 1971, Prudencio L. Lamarosa, he is different from the artists of his generation because of his intellectual detachment amid all the ill effects of technology on the world environment. Amburayan Princess Shanghai by Roberto Rodriguez Chabet. The artwork by Chabet is the only work in the portfolio that does not have a drop-off point on the surface. Intramuros by Ibarra de la Rosa. The Intramuros creates a symphony of colors. The subject gives him basic pattern that allows him to see the effect of different color of combinations. That's all, and thank you.